Finding Dory, animated film from Pixar Studios, a sequel to Finding Nemo. Like the sequel to Cars, this one switches the dynamic between the main characters and makes a previously secondary character the protagonist for this film. In this case, it's of course Dory, the fish with short-term memory loss, who was a big part of the original film, but still a supporting character. The story picks up 1 year later, with Dory living together with Marlin and Nemo in their coral reef. One day, an external event triggers a memory from her childhood, something that hasn't really happened before. She realizes she has family, parents more specifically, and wants to seek them out. Of course, her memory is still jumbled, but she manages to hold on to one key piece of information, which is the name of the place she saw them last, which will turn out to be a marine life institute in California. So, with the help of Marlin and Nemo, Dory sets out to traverse the ocean once again. And during the journey, as she experiences various adventures, she begins to remember more and more about her early childhood. So, the themes of the film are still quite similar to the original. They center around family, separation from family, and that desire to find each other, to be together. What Finding Dory expands on is that internal sense of identity. Over the course of the film, Dory comes to grips and has to kind of reevaluate how she lets her disability define her. On the other hand, I think that Marlin and Nemo's relationship was way more relatable, and the conflict in that film was way more relatable. And I was surprised to find how tiny their roles are in this one. I mean, they do have a lot of screen time, but if you think about it, most of the stuff that they actually do doesn't impact the plot all that much. The bulk of the story is carried by Dory and her newly met octopus friend named Hank, who I thought was a brilliant character, by the way, this reluctant helper who clearly also has his own interest in mind. I think the humor is good. The various set pieces that the characters encounter are enjoyable and fun, although the final act was just a bit too crazy for my liking. I think everything else before that in both films was kind of within the suspension of disbelief. You just accept that, okay, fish can talk and fish are intelligent, and there you go. But there are still physical limitations to what can happen. And the big finale in Finding Dory, I think, breaks those limitations and comes off as a bit silly. I think the kids will still love it, but for adults it may be just a bit too much. It certainly was for me. Animation quality is top notch as always, especially water and the way Octopus Hank are animated are simply superb. I also really loved Child Dory. I think that character is just adorable. But at the end of the day, while it's a passable film, I didn't connect to it as much, emotionally speaking, as much as with Finding Nemo. I think it's a solid sequel, but nothing special.